Welcome to Innovation Pulse, your quick, no-nonsense update covering the latest in startups and entrepreneurship news. First, we will cover the latest news. World Labs unveils Marble, a platform for creating editable 3D environments, and Cursor raises $2.3 billion to enhance its AI coding tool. After this, we'll dive deep into the challenges AI startups face, exploring why many struggle and what makes others succeed in a rapidly evolving tech landscape. World Labs, founded by AI leader Fei Li, has launched Marble, an innovative product that transforms text prompts, photos, videos, 3D layouts, or panoramas into editable and downloadable 3D environments. Unlike its competitors, Marble offers persistent 3D worlds rather than on-the-fly generation, enabling users to export worlds as Gaussian, splats, meshes, or videos. It stands out with AI-native editing tools and a hybrid 3D editor that lets users outline spatial structures before detailing them visually. Marble's flexible input options allow users to upload multiple images or clips, creating realistic digital twins. Its chisel feature separates structure from style, offering direct object manipulation, enhancing creative control. The product also allows world expansion and composer mode for large spaces, making it ideal for gaming, VFX, and VR projects. Available in 4 subscription tiers, Marble provides a range of features for various creative needs. It holds potential for robotics training environments and aims to pioneer spatial intelligence, a crucial step towards intelligent machines as envisioned by Fei Li. Cursor, an AI startup, recently secured a significant $2.3 billion funding round, boosting its valuation to $29.3 billion. The company offers an AI coding tool designed to assist developers in generating, editing, and reviewing code efficiently. Originally launched within Anisphere, a research lab established in 2022, Cursor has quickly become a leading name among AI startups, valued over $10 billion. The recent funding saw participation from major investors like Accel, Thrive Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, and others. With this investment, Cursor aims to deepen its research and enhance its product offerings. The tool has achieved a remarkable milestone, surpassing $1 billion in annualized revenue and expanding to over 300 employees. Notably, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang praised Cursor as his top enterprise AI service. Despite industry interest, Cursor remains focused on growth rather than an immediate IPO. The coding tool market is competitive, but Cursor distinguishes itself with proprietary models, generating more code than most large language models. Competitors include OpenAI and Anthropic, each developing their AI coding tools, though Cursor continues to lead with its unique capabilities. And now, pivot our discussion towards the main entrepreneurship topic.
Hey everyone, Donna here on Innovation Pulse. And today I've got someone who's going to make every AI startup founder either panic or pivot. Yakov Lasker is a senior software development manager who's been watching the AI startup landscape with what I can only describe as well-informed horror. Yakov, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Donna. And yeah, horror is the right word. You know what keeps me up at night? I just read that 90% of AI startups fail within their first year. 90%. But here's the kicker. Everyone's blaming it on the wrong thing.
Okay, you've got my attention. What's the wrong thing?
People keep saying it's because the big tech companies are more agile than we thought, right? That OpenAI and Google and Anthropic are just moving faster than traditional incumbents. But that's missing the entire point.
So what is the point?
The ground is literally shifting under everyone's feet every 9 to 12 months. It's not that the big players are outrunning the startups. It's that they're the ones causing the earthquakes that keep knocking everyone else over.
Wait, hold up. 9 to 12 months? That's insane. I mean, most startups need at least 18 months just to find product market fit, right?
Exactly. And that's the trap. Look, I came across this investment thesis that basically argues every AI application startup is doomed. And the data's pretty damning. In 2024 alone, ChatGPT went from 200 million weekly users to 400 million by February 2025. The mobile app generated over $1 billion in just the first part of this year. That's 53 times more revenue than its nearest competitor.
Okay, but ChatGPT is ChatGPT. Surely there's room for specialized apps that do specific things better?
That's what everyone thought, until OpenAI's Dev Day in October 2025. They announced they're turning ChatGPT into an entire platform, basically an operating system where other developers can build apps inside ChatGPT itself.
Oh no.
Oh yes, they introduced something called the Apps SDK and Agent Kit. So now, instead of users leaving ChatGPT to use your specialized AI tool, they can just use a version of your tool that lives inside ChatGPT, where they already spend all their time.
That's like if Amazon decided to just clone every successful product on their marketplace and sell it themselves. Oh, wait, they kind of do that.
Exactly. But it gets worse. Remember all those AI scheduling assistants? ChatGPT now does automated task scheduling. AI image editors? ChatGPT has image generation and editing built in. Customer service bots? Code completion tools. Search engines?
They're just eating everything.
Everything. And it's not just OpenAI. Anthropic went from Claude Sonnet 3.5 in June 2024 to Claude Sonnet 3.7 in February 2025 to Claude Sonnet 4 and Opus 4 by May 2025. That's 3 major releases in 11 months.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of doom and gloom here. But surely some AI startups are making it work? I mean, we keep hearing about billion-dollar valuations.
Sure, but here's the thing. Those valuations are based on potential, not proven business models. There's this fascinating stat from CB Insights. The 32 new AI unicorns in 2024 represented almost half of all new unicorns, but they haven't built commercial networks nearly as robust as non-AI unicorns. They're reaching unicorn status with 203 employees instead of 414, and in 2 years instead of 9.
So they're growing fast, but not deep.
Right. And the money tells you everything. Venture funding for AI startups dropped 42% in 2024. Most companies that got funded in the 2021 to 2023 boom had 18 to 36 months of runway, which means by late 2025 or early 2026, which is basically now, they're running out of money.
And they can't raise more because investors are getting smarter.
They're getting more skeptical, for sure. But here's where it gets really interesting. The big tech companies aren't even doing traditional acquisitions anymore. They're doing these reverse acquihires.
What's a reverse acquihire?
So Google paid $2.7 billion for Character AI, but they didn't buy the company. They just hired the founders and key talent and licensed the technology. Amazon did the same thing with a robotics AI startup called Covariant. They took the founders and 25% of the workforce.
Wait, that's brilliant. You get all the talent and the tech without the regulatory headaches of a full acquisition.
Exactly. Microsoft did it with Inflection, and this is happening at scale. In 2024, there were 384 AI acquisitions, and a ton of them followed this pattern.
So the two ways to win as an AI startup are what? Build fast, generate cash, and get out? Or build something good enough that Google acquires your team?
That's basically the thesis, yeah. You've got maybe 12 to 18 months to generate cash before the foundation model providers add your feature to their platform. Or you build something impressive enough that they want to absorb you.
Okay, but I'm hearing a lot of people talk about moats. Surely there are ways to build defensible AI businesses?
There are, but they're very specific. And this is where the thesis gets more nuanced. The survivors aren't the ones with the best AI models. They're the ones with the stickiest integrations, the most unique data, or the deepest vertical specialization.
Give me an example.
Take a bridge AI. They do medical transcription, turning doctor-patient conversations into clinical notes. But they're not just doing speech to text. They understand clinical workflows. They've tuned their models on medical terminology. They integrate with Epic, which is the dominant electronic health record system, and they embed seamlessly into how doctors actually work. They're now in over 100 health systems.
So it's not about having better AI. It's about being impossible to rip out.
Right. Or take Scale AI. They got a 5-year, $100 million contract with the Department of Defense. To compete with that, you'd need security clearances, SIF infrastructure, and years of relationship building in government. That's a cornered resource moat. You literally cannot copy it.
Okay, so there's a pattern here. Medical, defense, what else?
Highly regulated industries. Places where you need domain expertise that takes years to build. Or hardware integration. Like if you're putting actual devices in people's homes that learn and optimize over time. The key insight is that the moat can't be the AI model itself, because everyone has access to the same foundation models.
So if you're building on top of OpenAI's API or Anthropic's Claude, you don't really have a moat.
Not a technical one, no. There's this brutal Medium article I saw titled Zero Moat in AI Application Startups. The author looked at over 2,000 startups and basically said, if you're just wrapping a nice interface around GPT-4, you're building on someone else's infrastructure with no defensibility.
And when that someone decides to build the interface themselves,
You're done. The article gave this perfect example. Dozens of AI resume builders launched in 2023. Then LinkedIn and Canva just added the feature natively. All those startups, dead.
okay, so this is starting to sound less like AI startups are doomed and more like most AI startups are building the wrong thing.
That's a better framing, actually. But the original thesis has this insight that I think is really important. It's not just about building the wrong thing. It's about the rate of change being so fast that even if you build the right thing, the foundation shifts before you can mature as a business.
Explain that.
Okay, so think about previous technology waves, the PC era, the internet boom, mobile. Each of those took years to play out. You had time to build a company, establish sales relationships, develop brand recognition, become an incumbent yourself.
Right. Like how Facebook started in dorm rooms and had time to become the giant that now buys or crushes new social networks.
Exactly. But with AI, the sea changes are happening every 9 to 12 months, and very few startups can turn into a mature business in that time frame. Even if your engineers can pivot quickly, you can't hire 100 people in a month without your organization imploding. Sales cycles, customer relationships, brand building. These things are incompressible.
So you never quite make it to the finish line before the race course changes.
That's the metaphor the thesis uses. You can't skate to where the puck is going if 20 people are about to slap it in unpredictable directions at high velocity.
I love that. Okay, but let's get practical here. If you're an investor or a founder, what do you actually do with this information?
Well, if you're an investor, you're asking very different questions now. Not just how fast can you grow, but how defensible is this, specifically? The thesis suggests looking at whether the fundamental assumptions underpinning a startup's existence will be the same in 5 years, or whether they'll be unpredictably different.
And if they're unpredictably different, that's not investable.
Not as a long-term independent company, no. You might invest expecting a quick flip or an acquisition, but you're not betting on the next Google.
What about if you're a founder?
If you're a founder, you need to be brutally honest about your moat. Are you building something that requires years of domain expertise? Do you have proprietary data that gets better with every user interaction? Are you integrating so deeply into customer workflows that switching to a competitor would be a nightmare? Do you have regulatory advantages or hardware in the real world?
And if the answer is no to all of those?
Then you're probably building a feature, not a company, which might be fine if you can generate cash quickly or if you're building to be acquired. But don't fool yourself into thinking you're building the next Salesforce.
There's another angle here that we haven't talked about. What about open source? Meta's releasing llama models for free. Doesn't that change the equation?
It's interesting, right? The data shows that while open source is advancing, there's actually a consolidation happening around the closed source frontier models. Anthropic now has 32% of the enterprise market. OpenAI has 25%, down from 50% 2 years ago. But Meta's Llama, only 9%.
Why is that? I would think free and customizable would win in enterprise.
Two reasons. First, the closed source models are still meaningfully better for most use cases. Second, and this is crucial, enterprises care about reliability and support. If something breaks in production and you're using Llama, you're on your own. If you're paying Anthropic or OpenAI, you've got a throat to choke, as they say in enterprise sales.
Plus legal liability, compliance, all that fun stuff.
Exactly. Though there is this interesting dynamic where some developers use open source for experimentation and then switch to closed models for production. But that hasn't translated into a real business model for the open source model providers. Like, Mistral AI has an unclear path to revenue according to the information. Less than 10% of users pay for their commercial models.
So open source is great for the ecosystem, but not necessarily for building a business.
Not at the foundation model level anyway, though some startups are building businesses by fine-tuning open source models for specific verticals. That's a different play.
Okay, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. You said there's a pattern of successful AI startups in healthcare, defense, regulated industries. Is there anything else that's working?
Yeah, this is where we get into what the thesis calls real atoms data. Basically, if your AI is dealing with the physical world, hardware, manufacturing, logistics, agriculture, you might have a shot because that data is much harder to replicate.
Because you can't just scrape it off the internet.
Right. And it often requires sensors, equipment, physical presence. There's a startup called Goodship that does freight management. They're not just predicting stuff, they're integrated into the actual operational workflow of moving physical goods around. Replacing them would mean retooling mission-critical logistics infrastructure.
So the pattern is go deep, go vertical, go physical, or go regulated.
That's a good summary, and ideally, combine multiple moats. Like that medical example with Abridge, they've got regulatory moats, workflow integration, proprietary data that gets better over time, and domain expertise. Any one of those might not be enough, but all four together?
They'd be really hard to kill.
Exactly. Though even they're not completely safe. If OpenAI decided to partner directly with Epic and built medical transcription into the EHR,
Oh, that's terrifying.
welcome to being an AI application startup in 2025.
Okay, so let's talk about what happens next. We've established that most AI startups are in trouble, that the foundation keeps shifting, that there are some defensible positions. What's your prediction for the next 12 to 18 months?
I think we're going to see a massive wave of consolidation. Bessemer Venture Partners is predicting a surge in M&A activity in 2025 and 2026. The AI-native startups that pushed into specific verticals will get bought by traditional software companies that need to evolve or die.
So, like Salesforce buying a bunch of AI startups?
Exactly. Salesforce is already buying Informatica for $8 billion. You'll see more of that. The traditional SaaS companies realize their products are at risk of being AI-ed out of existence, so they're buying capabilities rather than building them.
Because building from scratch would take too long.
And by the time they finished, the technology would have moved on. So you're going to see the giants buying the upstarts that actually figured out how to apply AI in specific domains. The startups get liquidity, the acquirers get to survive.
What happens to everyone else?
The ones without moats? They run out of money and shut down. We're already seeing this. That MIT study showing 95% of business AI implementations failing? Those aren't just pilots. Those are startups dying because their product got commoditized before they could scale.
And the foundation model providers just keep expanding.
Yeah, They're in this weird position where they're simultaneously infrastructure providers and application builders. OpenAI is a great example. They provide the API that powers 1,000 startups, but they're also building ChatGPT into a platform that competes with all those startups.
That seems like a conflict of interest.
It's complicated. From their perspective, they're just adding features that users want. From the startup perspective, they're pulling the rug out. And because the foundation model providers control the underlying technology, they can move faster than anyone building on top of them.
So if you're building on OpenAI's API, OpenAI can always out-execute you because they see what's working and they control the foundation.
In theory, yes. Though I think the reality is messier than that. OpenAI is building for horizontal use cases. If you're deep in a vertical, like medical imaging or legal discovery, you might still have an advantage because you understand the problem space better.
But you're always one product announcement away from being obsolete.
That's the existential dread. Yeah.
All right, let's bring this home. If someone's listening to this and they're thinking about starting an AI company or investing in one, what's the one thing they need to internalize?
The foundation is not stable. This is not like previous technology waves where you could ride a trend for 5 or 10 years. The ground is shifting every 9 to 12 months, and it's shifting in ways you cannot predict with confidence. So whatever you're building, it needs to be defensible not against competition, but against obsolescence.
And if it's not defensible, it needs to generate cash fast.
Or be positioned for acquisition. Those are your 3 paths. Build something truly defensible through moats we talked about. Generate cash in 12 to 18 months and bank it. Or build something impressive enough that a giant wants to absorb you.
But don't fool yourself into thinking you're building the next generational super company.
Not unless you're in one of those rare categories with multiple overlapping moats. And even then, stay paranoid.
So next time you see a headline about an AI startup raising $100 million at a billion-dollar valuation, ask yourself, what's their actual moat? Can they get to profitability before the foundation shifts again? And are they in a category where defensibility is even possible?
Perfect. And remember, 90% of them won't make it. So bet accordingly.
Yakov Lasker, this has been sobering and fascinating. Thanks for joining us on Innovation Pulse.
Thanks for having me, Donna. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go rethink my entire career.
Don't we all? That's it for today's episode. We'll catch you next time when we'll dig into something that hopefully won't make you question all your life choices. Maybe.
As we wrap up today's podcast, we explored World Lab's new Marble platform, transforming inputs into 3D environments, and discussed the challenges AI startups face, with many struggling due to rapid tech shifts and lacking defensible models. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues so they can also stay updated on the latest news and gain powerful insights. Stay tuned for more updates.